We're just 2 nights away from the polls closing. I know, I can't believe it either. In every election, you always hear every vote counts. But this election, it really does. The polls tell us it's the tightest race in a half a century. And both candidates are treating it that way. Trump and Harris spent the weekend all over the battlegrounds, giving each other their best shot.
Polls are showing we're going to win everything. We're going to win the popular vote.
And let me then ask, who here has already voted? And let me ask, anybody here already voted? And let me then ask, who here has already voted?
We must defeat Kamala Harris and stop her radical left agenda.
Turn the page on a decade of Donald Trump.
If Kamala wins, you are 3 days away from the start of a 1929-style economic depression. I believe that.
Just Google Project 2025, which still I can't believe they put in writing.
Project 2025. And I said, I don't know about it. Everything she says is a lie.
He wants to put them in jail. I will give them a seat at the table.
America will be bigger, better, bolder, richer, safer, and stronger than ever before.
A country of chaos, fear, and hate, or a country of freedom, justice, and compassion.
Kamala broke it, and we will fix it, and we're going to fix it fast.
And when we fight, we win!
You're the worst vice president in history. Kamala, you're fired. Get the hell out of here.
Both campaigns are also talking a lot of trash. Former Obama guy David Plouffe has been running around in D.C. telling everybody undecideds are breaking for Harris. Trump's campaign manager, not having it. David can't do anything but BS until Tuesday because we're kicking his ass. The only thing the Harris campaign is functional at this point is the BS machine that is dutifully repeated by the legacy media as if fact. Team Harris is now claiming they're no longer underdogs. Trump's team scoffing at that. They say they're the ones expanding the map.
I'm not supposed to say this. You know, I'm going to be like the fake news. They're saying it's very close. It's really not very close. Based on what's been happening, it's not so close. We're leading in all 7 swing states, and we're certainly doing well in Virginia. It's not considered a swing state, but it may very well be a swing state. And I just had a little birdie told me that we're leading in New Jersey. What's that all about?
So on election night, keep your eye on New Jersey. If it's close there, Trump's going to have a big night. Also Tuesday, look at New Hampshire. That state's not supposed to be a battleground, but apparently it is. Clinton and Biden just went there. Trump just sent JD there today. And Trump himself tore up the schedule and made a last-minute stop in Virginia. So watch these 3 states early Tuesday evening, and that should tell you a lot. The betting markets have had Trump ahead pretty consistently, but big money's been coming in on Harris late. And Democrat numbers guru Nate Silver is now giving Trump the slightest edge, or Kamala the slightest edge, who knows? But this election's going to be decided in the battlegrounds, and the polls have been interesting. Trump was leading every swing state last week, but Harris just took the tiniest lead in Michigan and Wisconsin, but she's still down in Pennsylvania. But behind the scenes, are they confident?
But I'm here to tell you tonight, based on my reporting with Democrats and Republicans nationally and in both those states, that it could be that Kamala Harris wins Pennsylvania but loses the White House because she loses Wisconsin. My reporting is that she's in trouble in Wisconsin. This is based on 3 sources, 2 Republicans, 1 Democrat, all of whom know the state quite well, and all of whom told me today the same version of they would be somewhere between surprised and shocked if Kamala Harris won Wisconsin.
And on the ground in Pennsylvania, Democrats don't know what's going to happen.
I've been saying this, whether it was Biden or then became Harris, I said it's going to be very close. And Trump definitely has a connection with voters here in Pennsylvania, and that's why it's going to be close.
The Harris team's hoping Trump voters don't turn out, but early numbers say they are.
I think it's a bigger gaffe than people think. It's so funny. Joe Biden, his whole career, he was like Mr. Gaffe. And then here at the very end, he's like Aaron Judge in Game 6. he muffed a fly ball and at the end of the thing and blew the whole. Yeah. So, because I feel like it epitomizes everything that the Trump people hate about the Democrats. Yes. They look down on us. It's like deplorables times 10.
Republicans have been beating the drum that Trump has to win too big to rig. 45 has been spending a lot of time in Georgia, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania, because if he wins those 3 East Coast states with healthy margins, we'll know who the president is on election night. Maybe. Harris is city hopping. She's hoping for huge turnout in Atlanta, Philly, Charlotte, and Detroit. She needs big black turnout to carry the battlegrounds. Today, she stopped by a barber shop in Michigan because, as we know, she's got a man problem.
The gender gap, again, we've talked about this throughout the campaign. We've talked about this for decades. Trump up 18 with men, Harris 16 with women. That is a 34-point gender gap by about 10 points. If this happens, this would be the biggest gender gap ever recorded.
Stunning, and his lead with men bigger than her lead with women.
So it's shaping up to be a battle of the sexes. Will women shock us like they did in the midterms? We'll know pretty soon. Women can be unpredictable. These two are battling down to the wire. Both campaigns have spent about $1 billion in ads. Democrats with the edge in spending. I know you're fed up with the ads, but look on the bright side. In 2 days, no more ads. Kamala has outraised them, but Trump has out-campaigned her. I can't even believe people are undecided at this point, but every time either of these two candidates open their mouths, they can win or lose votes. Kamala just voted early in California today, and you know how in California you can steal under $1,000 and it's only a misdemeanor? They have a proposition to get rid of that because shoplifting's out of control.
How did you vote on Prop 36?
So my ballot is on its way to California, and I'm going to trust the system that it will arrive there. And I am not going to talk about the vote on that because, honestly, it's the Sunday before the election, and I don't intend to create an endorsement one way or another around it. But I did vote.
Kamala not taking a position on a big issue because it might affect the election sums up her whole campaign. She couldn't be more of a politician if she tried. Meanwhile, Biden, saying whatever the hell he wants, doesn't give a flip. The Harris campaign is still reeling from Garbagegate. The last thing the Harris campaign needs is Biden popping off, but he did it again this weekend.
I know some of you guys are tempted to think it's macho guy. I'll tell you what, man. When I was in Scranton, we used to have a little trouble going down the plot once in a while from Greenwich. But I'm serious. These are the kind of guys you like to smack in the ass.
So in the last 2 weeks, Biden said he wants to lock up Trump and smack his garbage supporters in the ass. Oh, and he also sucked on 4 babies' toes. At this point, both campaigns not really playing it safe. Trump because he doesn't know how to, and Kamala because she can't control Joe. So whatever happens for the next 48 hours, expect the media and the pollsters to flood the zone with good news for Kamala and depressing news for Trump. They'll try to prop up Democrats and demoralize Republicans. They did this in 16 and 20. Both races, though, decided by just 30 to 40,000 votes across 3 to 4 swing states. And they're telling us this time the race is even tighter. So tune out the noise. The fundamentals of the race haven't changed. And on Tuesday, no one else can decide the election except you, if you go out and vote. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.